This is the perimeter and area video. The perimeter is the distance around a two-dimensional shape. Okay, for example, the perimeter of this rectangle is 3 plus 7 plus 3 plus 3 equals 2. Okay, so if you just add up all the sides, okay, this side is 3 plus 7 plus 3 plus 7. That would be the distance all the way around. That's the perimeter. The perimeter of a circle is called the circumference. It's the same thing. It's still the distance around the circle, but circles are a little more complicated than other shapes, so its perimeter is called circumference. Alright, for example, find the perimeter of the figure below. So again, the perimeter means the distance around the shape. So that means you need to add up all of your sides. Okay, so we actually need to find what this side here is and what this side here is. They're not given to us. Okay, so looking at the red side, if I take 14, the top, and I subtract the bottom here, 8, that should give me that little red piece. Okay, so 14 minus 8, this little red piece would be 6. Okay, for the blue piece, if I take 11, the whole height of the entire shape, and I subtract 4, okay, that should leave me with what's left over, which is 7. Okay, and then I can add these up. 14 for the top, plus 11 for the right hand side, plus 8 for the bottom, plus 7 for that blue piece that we just found, plus 6 for that red piece, plus 4 for the left, equals the entire perimeter around the whole thing is 50. Okay, inches, centimeters, meters, whatever measurement they give you. Alright, find the perimeter of the circle below. We'll do area later, okay, in the video. Okay, so we're just finding the perimeter. The perimeter of a circle is called the circumference, which is this formula, okay, on your formula sheet. Okay, circumference equals 2 times pi times r. Okay, r is the radius of a circle. Okay, and the radius is from the center of the circle to the edge. That's the radius. Okay, what they gave us here, this 11, is actually the diameter. The diameter goes through the center of the circle, but it's the whole distance from one side to the other side. Okay, so in order for us to use this formula, we need to find the radius. So the radius would be the diameter cut in half. So 11 cut in half would be 5.5. So the radius is 5.5. And then you plug it into your formula. The circumference equals 2 times pi. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. And then your radius, 5.5. And then just multiply that. Put that all in the calculator. And you'll get the answer, 34.54 inches, centimeters, meters, whatever measurement they tell you. Okay, if you notice, if you realize this, you can do this another way. 2 times the radius is the diameter. The diameter is 2 times the radius. The radius is the diameter cut in half. So if you realize this, then 2r is really the diameter. So I can use 11 times 3.14 instead of cutting the diameter in half to get the radius and then multiplying it by 2 in the formula. If you realize that, you can just use the diameter. Okay, if you don't realize that, then don't worry about it. Just use the formula as is. Don't get yourself confused. Alright, find the perimeter, again we're just doing perimeter for now, of the semicircle below. Okay, All right, so for a semicircle, we're still going to use circumference for the perimeter, okay? But for a semicircle, we need to take the perimeter and cut it in half. Take the circumference and cut it in half. So again, for the radius, this is the diameter. 120 is the diameter. If we want the radius, that would be from the center to the edge, so that would be whatever 120 cut in half is, which is 60. So the radius here is 60. The diameter is 120, but the radius is 60. So if you're using the circumference formula, 2 times pi, which we're going to use 3.14, okay, and then times the radius, which is 60. So 2 times 3.14 times 60 is 376.8. Okay, that would be the circumference of the entire circle. I only have half of the circle. So if I take that, okay, for only half of the circle, if I cut it in half, divide by 2, that will give me this piece here. How far it is to go around that piece, which is 188.4. Okay, now it's a little tricky because it seems like we're done. Cut the circle in half and you're done, but you can't forget about the bottom. That's part of the perimeter in a semicircle. So 188.4 takes care of this arc. Okay, but we still need the bottom. Okay, so if you take 188.4 plus 120 in this case, okay, that'll give you the perimeter of the entire thing, not just the arc. It'll give you the arc and the bottom, which is 308.4 centimeters, meters, inches, whatever. Okay. Some of you, not all of you, might be thinking, well, if you look at the circumference formula, 2 pi r, if I want a semicircle, well, how about we just get rid of the 2? Okay, which is true because we multiplied by 2 here and then we turned around and divided by 2 here, and that's fine. If you think that way, that's fine. You can do 3.14 times the radius is 60, which will jump you straight to 188.4. Then add the 120 to that and you'll still get 308.4. If you don't think that way or that doesn't occur to you, just straight use the formula as is and then make your changes from there. Okay, divide by 2 for a semicircle. Alright, these are the area formulas that we're going to be using. We have circle. The area formula for a circle is pi r squared. Okay, and then rectangles and squares and triangles. Okay, all 3 of these formulas will be given to you on the SAT. Okay. Alright, we're going to be finding the area now of the figure below. Okay, this is the same shape that we found the perimeter of earlier. Okay, with area though, you're finding all of this space inside the shape. I want to know like how much carpet I need to buy for this room. Okay, I want to know how much floor space this actually is, not how far I have to walk around the shape. Okay, that would be like figuring out how much trim I need would be perimeter, but to know how much carpet or tile I need is area. Okay, so to find area of a shape like this, and this is really real life as far as your house, carpeting your house, tiling your house. Your house is not a perfect rectangle. A lot of your houses are perfect rectangles, but your rooms in your house are not. You have closets, you have jut outs, so you need to break this shape into 2 rectangles. Okay, so I'm going to put a line here, and that's going to give me this rectangle up here. I broke it apart there because I have the length is 14 and the width is 4. So like I have all the information about that shape. So to me that's easy. Okay. Then when you find the area, area equals length times width. So area would be 4 times 14, which is 56. So this chunk up here is 56. Okay, then I'm going to find the area of this piece down here. This piece is not 8 by 11. 11 is the entire height of the room. Okay, this is 8 by 11 minus 4, which is 7. Okay, so the area of that room would be 7 times 8, which would also be 56. So even though they look completely different shapes, they actually have the same area. They would actually require the same amount of carpet or tile for both of those areas. So we want the area of the whole thing. So if you take the area of 56 and the area of 56 and you add it together, that would give you the total area, okay, which is 112 inches, feet, centimeters, whatever, squared. Okay, this would be units squared. Whatever the unit is, area is squared. All right, find the area of the figure. This is a triangle. The area formula for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. The base and the height have to make a right angle. So in this picture, 4.5 and 8.2 are the base and height. 6 is a side, but it has nothing to do with the base or the height. The base is not necessarily the bottom. A lot of times it is, but it's not always the bottom. The base and the height make a right angle together. So 1/2 or 0.5, a lot of people in the calculator especially use 0.5 instead of 1/2. The base would be 8.2. So again, you can use 0.5 instead of 1/2. And the height would be 4.5. Okay, so either of these, whichever one's easier to type in the calculator is fine, but 0.5, which is a half, times 0.82 times 0.45 is your area, which is 18.45 inches squared, centimeters squared, miles squared, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to put units squared. Okay, whatever unit it is. All right, this triangle looks a little different. Okay, again, the base and the height have to make a right angle. So this is the base and this is the height because they make a right angle together. It's not always the bottom and the side. 4.5 is nothing as far as we're concerned. So 1/2, which again you can use in the calculator as 0.5, 1/2 and 0.5 are the same thing, times the base, which is 1.7, times the height, which is 2.6. Even though the base does not run the entire length here, that's still the base of this triangle. Okay, I don't need that whole dotted side. Okay, the base of this triangle is 1.7 and the height is 2.6. Even though the right angle is formed outside of the triangle, that's fine. Okay, sometimes you'll see pictures like this. Okay, sometimes the height is drawn inside the triangle, like our previous picture. Sometimes the height is drawn on the outside of the triangle, like this picture. But the base and the height make a right angle. Okay, put all this in your calculator. Okay, just multiply it all together and you get you get 22.21 centimeters squared, inches squared. Okay. All right. It says find the length of the third side of the triangle and then we're going to find the area. So in a triangle, the base and the height have to make a right angle. So we don't have the base. We have the height is 10, but the base is not 26. So in a problem like this, you would have to use your Pythagorean theorem, okay, to find the third side. So this would be a squared plus 10 squared equals 26 squared. 26 is the hypotenuse. It's across from the right angle. Okay, so like we've previously done, square everything. Okay, 10 squared is 100. 26 squared is 676. Subtract 100 from both sides. And a squared is 576. Take the square root of both sides. That'll get rid of a squared and leave you with just a. Okay, put it in the calculator. Okay, in this case we got lucky. The answer is 24. If you're going to use the number for area or perimeter, even if we had gotten a decimal here, we would just use the decimal. We would not use a square root for the area or the perimeter. It's just too complicated. Okay, so this side here is 24. Okay, so using your area formula, area is 1/2, so 0.5 times base, which is 24, times height, which is 10. Again, the base and the height have to make a right angle. That's why we had to use 10 and 24 instead of 10 and 26. Put all that in your calculator, multiply it together, and you will get 120. Inches, feet, centimeters, miles, whatever, squared. Alright, finding the area of a circle, and it tells us to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so that would be 1 decimal place. Okay, the area of a circle is pi r squared. R, again, is the radius from the center of the circle to the edge, so 7 is actually the radius. So for area, we're going to have pi, which we're going to be using 3.14, times the radius, which is 7 squared. Okay, so in your PEMDAS tells you to square first, so you can do that. 7 squared is 49, and then 49 times 3.14. Okay, or you can type it in all at one time. 3.14 times 7 squared equals, okay, and your calculator should be able to work that out. You get 153.86. Since it said to round to the nearest tenth, we're going to keep 1 decimal place. So we're looking at the 8. The 6, we'll round it up to a 9. So it's really 153.9 inches squared. Okay, they actually told us what the unit here was, so we're going to use the unit. Alright, find the area of the circle to the nearest tenth again. So we're rounding to 1 decimal place. The area is pi r squared. Okay, the radius is from the center to the edge. So they actually gave us the diameter. Okay, so in order to find the radius, I'm going to take the diameter, which is 25, and cut that in half. Okay, 25 divided by 2 would give us a radius of 12.5 millimeters. Okay. Alright, so for area is pi, so 3.14 times the radius, so 12.5 squared. Pretty much you can type that in. 3.14 times 12.5 squared equals in the calculator, and you will get 490.625. We're told to round to the nearest tenth, so that means I want to keep the 6 and look at the 2 to round it up or down. The 2 will keep it 490.6 millimeters squared. Perimeter would just be millimeters, but area is millimeters squared. Alright, and then a semicircle. Okay, so again we're rounding to the nearest tenth and we're using the area formula. Okay, again, the area formula is pi r squared. R is the radius from the center to the edge, so we actually have the diameter. That's what we were given. So take the diameter is 28, and if I cut that in half, that will give me the radius, which is 14, and that's what I want to be using, 14, not 28. Okay, so the area is pi 3.14 times the radius, which is 14, squared. Put all that in your calculator, and you will get 615.44. Now, that would be the area of the entire circle. If I had the whole thing, that would be the area. But I don't have the whole thing. I only have half of it, a semicircle. I only have half. So I need to take this number and cut it in half. Okay, if I do that, I actually get 307.72. I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So I'm looking at the 7 and I'm using the 2. Do I round it up or leave it alone? The 2 will leave it at 307.7 meters squared. Okay, a semicircle is just a circle cut in half, so you have to cut the area or the perimeter in half when you're dealing with semicircles.